Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel, Augusto Argandoña Fine Arts. Anytime in the course of this narrated tutorial, you can click on the subscribe button to subscribe to my channel. And I would also appreciate your comments in regards to this video, and for that matter, any of the other videos that I have in my channel. If you should want to learn about my virtual classes or want to see my paintings, you can do so in my website at aafinearts.com. This tutorial is about painting a coastal scene that has some buildings and very beautiful color water, mountains in the background and some rocks. So it is the location itself is in Costa Brava in Spain, Costa Brava, España. What attracted me to this particular scene is the amount of white in the buildings, in contrast with the dark, cool colors in the background for the vegetation and the mountains, as well as some of the shadows, and also contrasting with the beautiful, absolutely beautiful blue of the ocean on that part. It's a small cove or inlet, and some buildings are close to the coast, others are not, but that's what attracted me to it. So that's what I'm going to paint it. I'm going to paint it kind of loosely in the background, a little bit more detail with the buildings and the rocks, but that's my style, pretty much combination of loose, watery techniques with fairly controlled techniques. So without much ado, I'll go ahead and start this tutorial. So I will start by adding some water to the sky area, which will be fairly minimal actually. Over there like this, and there's a little bit of showing over here on this side of this building. I'm going to leave the edges of this building pretty much pristine white, and I'm going to use a little bit of manganese blue, not too much. It's a beautiful blue, so I'm going to use some of that manganese with cobalt blue. Make a really nice sky color. So there will be some really good contrast with the sky color and into the building as well. There we are. And I'm going to leave a little bit of this white to show clouds like that, and that's about it for the sky. Get rid of that. And that's about it. In fact, I'm gonna bring that over here. There's too much white over here already, so I'm gonna bring that over here like that. Okay, that's enough for the sky area. Maybe a little bit more manganese to complement the colors that will be in the water. There. All right. So I'm going to let that dry. And while that is drying, get my image back here. While that is drying, I'm going to go ahead and do some of the beach area on the far side. For that, I'm going to use a little bit of brown matter and ultramarine blue. A little bit more brown matter. And I'm also going to wet that area a little bit. there's gonna be some sunny areas over here, and there's some surf, but I'm gonna leave some of the areas a little bit with a little bit of color, not too much, because there will be some contrast over here too. So I'm gonna just add some color for the sand, leave a little bit of white areas there. Like that there. That's enough. Maybe a little bit more. I'll bring us some sepia also into this lower area. Like that. And that's enough for now. I'm gonna do some, when I do the shadows, that was gonna be darker. Now, also, I will go ahead and do this, the light side of these buildings. I'm gonna wait for this to dry completely though. While that is drying, I'm gonna go ahead and wet these areas where these foundation rocks are gonna be. And blend that right into the rocks. So I'm gonna do quite a bit of water here. And bring those rocks right to the lower area over here, like that. Make sure this is covered. And I'm gonna start bringing some of the colors that are gonna be in those rocks. I'm gonna use some brown matter, burnt umber. Leave some areas that are gonna be sun areas that will be in the sun when we're getting a little lighter. There, like that. This is a little bit more, this is kind of loose than the way I'm painting, but also some control. Like I said, some of these rocks are going to be getting quite a bit of sunlight. So I'm going to, there's already some white areas. There's already enough water in my paper, so I don't need to add any more water. Do that, like that. I'm also going to bring in some sepia, mix into that. Like that. And also going to bring in some burnt brown matter. Get a little bit of a different color to these rocks. Like that. Some ultramarine blue with that brown matter. Get an entirely different color over here to these rocks, like that. I'm going to get some of that color over here, where it's going to be this part of the foundation will be in the shade. There, like that. A little bit of that color down here, like that. Also, I'm going to bring some clean burnt sienna, add another level of color. color into this, another dimension into these rocks, the more the variety of colors, the better it will be. Now I'm going to increase the sepia in some areas for the crevices that are in the rocks. Like that. A little bit of yellow ochre into this area. Like that. Come back with the brown matter and ultramarine. Clean my brush and also bring in some manganese blue into some areas like this. And the burnt umber, a little bit stronger now. But only in some selected areas, not too much. Okay, so now I will get this little tool to make textures. And with this little tool, I'm going to start picking up some details of the rocks. Like that. Same thing over here. Like that, there, enough. Now I'm also going to bring a little bit more color to some of these areas, like this, and I'll do a little bit more detailing later. Like that. Like I said, this is going to be in the shade. So now I'm going to get a different brush and pick up more of the brown matter and ultramarine. I'll do this area that's going to be in the shade. Like that. So in this area too, be in the shade. And also get some cobalt blue and add it here. Like that. And a little bit of a burnt sienna. There. Okay. Also get some, pick up some of the brown that I already have in my palette and do a little bit of a texturing for some of these stones that are gonna be in this area. Like that, not too much. All right, so now I'll get a round brush and I'll do the shadow side on inside those arches. And for that, I'm gonna get some cobalt blue with the brown matte that I already have in my palette. And I'll do this. Inside of this arch. There. Do the same thing in the other arches. That's the very carefully to the inside. There we are. Get a smaller brush and do these edges. There. And also get a little bit of a manganese and do the inside section. There we are. There. And we also do some of these walls that are on the shadow side. This wall is on the shadow side. There. I'm also going to add a little bit of manganese to that, especially over here. Get some reflective color from the sky, and also add a little bit of burnt sienna in the lower area. Get some reflective color from the rocks, like that. And do the same thing on this other wall. Get some blue, a little bit of the brown matte, and this wall and get like same treatment. Yeah. But this time I'm going to add a little bit more manganese. A little bit of clean ultramarine on the very top, and some burnt sienna towards the bottom. There we are. Gorgeous. Okay, so that building is almost done. I'm gonna do there's some tile in this building, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that too. I'm gonna get some yellow ochre and some cadmium red, a little bit of sepia, there's this tile over here. Like that. A little bit of orange color. There we are. Now there's some windows on the inside of that those balconies. Get some sepia and ultramarine. There's a little bit of detailing. There's some railings here too. So. That. A little bit more white in my brush. There, like that. And there's a door over here. And some windows. There. That's about it. There's some shadows that I'm gonna need to add. And this wall's casting a shadow here. Also, there's going to be a little bit of shadow over here, and there we are. I'm going to do a little bit of that over here. A little detail work, architectural detail. I'm going to darken this. Also going to darken a little bit more this other area, or this side. Bring some of the burnt sienna back. There we are. Okay. So now I'm going to get a smaller brush and do a little bit of the detailing on the rocks with the sepia and some burnt umber. Not too much, just a little bit of detailing to indicate where some rocks are. Like that. In fact, I'm going to get a larger brush. Same thing over here. A little bit of the gray color. Some of that over here. And a little bit more of this scraping. In fact, I'm going to pick up some of the color with this and make myself a nice rich mixture. ultramarine, brown matter, and pick up some of that. Like that. There. Not much more than that. In fact, that's probably too much detail. I'm going to minimize this. There we are. That's better. There. And there's also some greenery in that area, so I'm going to use some raw sienna and undersea green. And over here like this. There's some green stuff, some vegetation, not too much. There's some on this side. Maybe a little bit more of the green. There's some over here. We'll add a little bit over there too. Bring some aureole and yellow into that. Just a few patches of that greenery. A little stronger over here. Like that. All right, enough. That's enough for that. So now I will start with the water. And for that, I'm gonna need a very clean brush. And this water has a beautiful color. Kind of an aqua color, so I'm going to add some water over here. Clean my brush really good. There will be some breaks, some water breaking, some waves against these rocks, so I'm going to get quite a bit of water here. Okay, so now I'm going to bring some of the teal color with manganese blue. And a little bit of cobalt blue. There's that nice color there in the water. There's some waves against the beach there. A little bit more cobalt. A little bit more of the other color. I'm going to get these rocks over here. And here's where the water will start breaking against the rocks. some of that, some ultramarine blue mixed there. Come back with the teal. I'm going to add a little bit of real and yellow to get some of the little kind of greenish tint. There, the break. Really nice wave hitting the rocks. There we are. A little bit more of the aureolin as a kind of a greenish tint. Yeah. It's a beautiful color. And a little bit more of the ultramarine towards this area, and also probably a little bit of greenish blue. There we are. That's the color I've been wanting. Get rid of that rock area. Some of that color over here. And a little bit more of the color over here. Make this stronger. There. A bit more of the ultramarine down here. Okay, I'm gonna let that dry like that. And while that's drying, I'm gonna go ahead and do a little bit more definition on the rocks. Now that I added that, it needs some more dark areas here, especially over here. There we are. Also going to add some more of the burnt sienna and a little bit of yellow ochre too. Warm up some of these areas. There we are, that's color that I want. There, enough. So now we get a smaller brush and do some of the detailing on that wall here. Yes. Just an indication of stones, not too much. There, that's enough. Now there's kind of a bluish window over here. A nice cobalt blue color. There. There. All right. So now we'll start with the buildings and across the beach. I'm gonna leave this white, but these are gonna be in the shade, so I'm gonna water. I'll do a little bit of watering over here. This is gonna be in the shade here. There we are. And I'm gonna use cobalt blue. No, actually I think I'm gonna use ultramarine. That would be better. And a little bit of brown matter, not too much. So all these buildings are in the shade here, except the ones over here. A little bit more ultramarine. Like that. And I'm gonna bring a little bit of rose madder. And clean my brush and also bring in a little bit of manganese blue, clean manganese blue, like that. There we are. And also there's a roof that has some burnt sienna color over here. Let's see, here we are. There's another one, we'll do another one over here. A little bit of brown matter mixed with that burnt sienna. Not too much. There, some there. There's this. This has a little bit of that. Yeah. And that's enough. I'm gonna let that dry. In fact, some of these buildings are gonna be a little darker. So I'm gonna use more ultramarine and a little bit of the sepia, make it a darker gray. Because some of these buildings are really dark. And there's a lot of shade here. It looks dark now, but it's not gonna be that much after I'm done with the other areas. Now I'm also gonna go ahead and do the shadow side. A little bit brown matter and ultramarine shadow on that beach. This area is gonna be really dark. leave that white for that surf all the way to the bottom of these buildings. A little bit like that. There. Nice shadow color there. Okay, so now I'm going to get do the greenery, and we will be done here. So I'm gonna get some darker green and the sea green with the ultramarine. And there's some pine tree over here, but there's also a post over here. Like that. And there's, like I said, some pines. In fact, what I'm going to do here, it's too sharp. I'm going to minimize that, like that. Maybe some pinks, gray, darken some of these areas. There, like that. Do a little bit of sepia there too. And the ultramarine. And then do this on the side. Enough of that. I'm going to minimize some of this detail, soften it. There. Like that. Okay, and now we'll do the rest of the greenery. I'm going to get some, I think I'm going to add a little bit of water here. Bring some water over here too, with this mountain. Now I'm going to use some raw sienna with the undersea green. And we'll start over here, start picking up the color to outline this building. There we are. With some darker areas. Outlining some of those buildings. Come over here and do the same thing. Now we're gonna start getting some more of the other colors. I'm gonna get a little bit of brown matter and ultramarine and do this, make sure this area is wet. This mounting area. Blend those colors like that. A little bit of cobalt blue. A little bit of burnt umber. Blend that right into the green. And now I'm going to make a very rich, dark mixture of and the sea green, burnt umber, and Payne's gray. And then make sure this is wet still. Yep. And we'll come back over here. More burnt umber. Make sure my hand is not, okay, this is fine. Okay, here we go. I'll start outlining these buildings. That. Come over here, and I'm going to add some ultramarine. That'll make it cooler, because this is in the shade. Make them a lot darker, and I'm going to bring some sepia into it. I'm going to get some water and start blending this with a little bit of raw sienna. With some of the blue, dark ultramarine here. Like that. A little bit more of the raw sienna, and come over here into this hill. like that. There. Get rid of some of this texturing. A little bit there. Like those little specks of the vegetation in the distance. So now, what we're gonna do here is I'm gonna get a smaller brush and start adding a little bit more color to some of these buildings. A little bit more of the brown matter into the ultramarine. This will be here like that. There we go. Okay, now I'm gonna blend all of that again, so it's not too sharp. Yeah, a little bit more manganese in some of these buildings. All right, and now we'll do the inside of those buildings, the windows here. Like that. Some darker colors. There we are. There's gonna be some greenery here too. Like that. We're almost done with these details. Now becomes the green areas. There's some green over here. here. Okay, and now I'm gonna get this brush, make a darker mixture. And do some of this wave pattern. Not too much, I'm gonna use a flat brush actually. Bring some of that dark wave color into the water over here too. All of this shade, bring it out here. This is gonna be much darker. I'm gonna combine these colors over here. Like that. Bring some of that bluish, cobalt blue color with this teal into this area. Blend that with water. There, like that. Bring some of that over here too. In this foreground, a little bit of that greenish tint. Like that. And the painting is just about done. So the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little bit of edge blending over here. Some of these are kind of harsh. Like that. Soften some of those edges and give a little bit more definition for some of the softer lines where I need soft, like over here. There's like the Christmas there. I'm gonna add a little bit more reddish to this roof. There, yeah. Like that. Same thing over here to this tile roof. And lastly, I'm gonna add some color, line work type, darker to this base of this think I'm gonna add some warmer tone to this. There. Okay, I'm gonna wait for this to dry, and well, that's drying. I think I'm gonna do is add a little bit of water over here and give this kind of a greenish tint, and these waves breaking into the rocks. It's not softened up, it's too harsh. There, that's better. This, I don't like this blue either. There. Okay. And this is pretty much done. Well, that's a little bit of darker areas over here. And that's all. And then I'm going to bring my watercolor pen and do some little chimneys or antennas or whatever over here. There's a view. Like that. A little bit of that for the waves. Yeah, I think the last thing I'm gonna do here is this rock that's sticking out of the water. There. And the painting is finished. So now I'm going to remove the tape, get some dark background board, so you'll be able to appreciate this a little bit more. Remove this tape. Here comes the dark background. Turn this over this, like that way. And minimize this image. And there you are. Costa Brava. Nice beach area, very light. And this area in the shade. All these buildings in the shade. These are in the sunlight. Sunlight. I think I'm gonna darken that wall a little bit more. Yeah, this needs to be just a little darker. There we are. Much better. Much better. All right. So thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed my painting. And please visit my website at aafinearts.com. There you will see information about my virtual classes and a selection of my paintings and prints. And also please remember to subscribe to my channel. Until next time.